All right, let's dive into the Asia Clean Energy Summit from 2022.
Sounds good.
The summit, it was held in Singapore, right?
Yeah, Singapore.
So we're looking at the website and the program, trying to pull out some of the big trends for listeners who are interested in clean energy.
Absolutely. And one of the first things that jumps out at me is the organizer,
Okay, who organized this thing?
the Sustainable Energy Association of Singapore.
SIEWS, right?
Yeah,
I
SEAS.
saw that too, and I thought, okay, this seems legit.
It does, right? SEAS is super well regarded in the clean energy space. They're advocates for sustainability, pushing for clean energy technologies.
Because they're not messing around. They really set the agenda for the summit,
Exactly.
and they highlighted 4 key technology strategies: solar and long-duration storage, green hydrogen for baseload power, energy efficiency tech, and then electrification of transportation.
Yeah, those are big ones.
Big focus areas. So can you help us understand why these are so important?
Sure, let's take them one by one.
Okay.
Let's start with solar and long-duration storage.
It's not just about the solar panels anymore.
Right.
It's about making solar reliable.
Got it.
Long-duration storage is like a huge battery storing energy from peak sunlight hours so you can release it when the sun's not shining.
Like a backup generator, but clean?
Exactly. Exactly. And solves the problem of solar being intermittent, only working when the sun's out.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So what about green hydrogen?
Green hydrogen's really interesting.
Yeah, it's been getting a lot of attention.
For good reason.
Yeah.
It's green because it's made using renewables.
Oh, okay.
Like solar and wind power to split water molecules.
Interesting.
So no carbon footprint, like with traditional hydrogen production.
So it's clean from the start?
Exactly. It's a possible clean alternative to fossil fuels for things that are hard to decarbonize, like heavy industries and long-haul transportation.
It sounds almost too good to be true, so there have to be some challenges.
Oh, there are. There are definitely challenges.
It's expensive right now. Green hydrogen costs a lot more than the fossil fuel-based hydrogen.
I see.
And then we need to scale up production, make enough to meet demand.
Yeah, make it more available.
Exactly. And we need to improve the electrolyzers. Those are the things that split the water into hydrogen and oxygen.
Got it.
There's a lot of research and development that needs to happen, but the potential is huge.
It sounds like it. So let's move on to energy efficiency technology.
Sure.
Maybe not as flashy as solar panels or hydrogen fuel cells, but still super important.
It really is. Energy efficiency is like the invisible fuel
How so?
because it's about using less energy to do the same stuff.
Oh, wow.
So we implement these technologies and we cut down on overall energy consumption.
Reducing our reliance on fossil fuels.
Exactly. And that can be as simple as switching to LED light bulbs or as complex as setting up a smart building management system.
So optimizing our energy use, making what we have work better.
Yeah, exactly.
What about the electrification of transportation?
That's gaining a lot of traction.
Yeah, it seems like electric vehicles are everywhere now.
They are, and it's a direct way to cut emissions from transportation, which is a huge contributor to climate change.
Makes sense.
And it's not just cars, it's buses, trucks, even ships.
Wow, so the technology is getting better all the time.
Absolutely. We have better batteries, longer ranges for vehicles.
I was looking at the schedule for this summit, and they had some intriguing sessions like a Clean Energy Leaders Dialogue and a Singapore IRENA high-level forum.
Interesting titles.
What do those tell you about the summit's overall goals?
Those sessions probably brought in some big players, government folks, industry leaders, and experts.
Like from IRENA, the International Renewable Energy Agency.
Right, exactly. And it probably wasn't just about the tech. They were probably focused on setting those clean energy goals, shaping policies to reach them, and figuring out how to work together internationally.
So it's about setting the stage, making sure the tech actually gets implemented.
Yeah, making it happen on a larger scale.
And speaking of making it happen, the program also mentioned showcasing businesses that are already making a difference in clean energy.
I bet that was a popular part of the summit.
I would imagine people want to see results.
Absolutely. It's inspiring to see what's possible, companies developing super efficient solar panels or those groundbreaking battery storage solutions.
So it's like a window into the future of clean energy.
Exactly. And seeing it in action is incredibly inspiring.
And they didn't just talk about it. They had an exhibition too, right?
That's right. A place to showcase the technology.
I imagine walking through a hall filled with all the latest clean energy tech.
Yeah, seeing those innovations up close, interacting with the developers.
Getting a real sense of the progress being made,
Absolutely. It's not just a talking shop. It's a place where ideas meet action.
where the people with the ideas connect with the people who can make them a reality,
Exactly. It brings the whole ecosystem together.
to accelerate that transition to clean energy.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've got these 4 key technologies, and it seems like ACES was designed to cover everything, from the nitty-gritty details to the big picture discussions about policy, finance, and then those real-world applications.
It was a very comprehensive summit.
A whirlwind tour of innovation.
It was.
Anything else that really stands out to you about ACS?
I think what's really cool is that they didn't just focus on the tech.
Oh, what else did they highlight?
They acknowledged that this transition, it's not just about technology.
Okay.
It's social and economic, too.
I see. There are people involved.
Exactly. And I'm sure there were sessions on things like green financing, workforce development, community engagement, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you can't just throw technology at a problem
Right.
and expect it to fix everything.
Right. You need to think about the human element, how these changes impact communities.
It's about building a better world for everyone.
Exactly. And that's what makes ACES so important. It brings all these different people together,
The technologists, policymakers, financiers, the community leaders.
all in one place to talk and collaborate.
It's like a melting pot of ideas and solutions.
Yeah, all focused on making that clean energy transition happen.
It's really crucial to understand what was discussed at events like this.
Absolutely.
They give us a glimpse into those trends and challenges that are shaping the clean energy world.
And they show us the innovative solutions that are popping up around the world.
It's like a roadmap for the future, constantly being updated.
A living roadmap.
And that's what makes this field so exciting. It's constantly evolving.
Totally agree.
We've delved into the heart of ACES,
We have.
explored the key technology strategies, those big picture discussions, and the real-world solutions.
Definitely a fascinating journey.
I've learned a ton, but I'm sure our listeners are eager to hear your final thoughts.
Okay.
What's the one big takeaway you want them to remember?
I think what's most remarkable about ACS is that it shows the momentum behind the clean energy transition.
Like it's not slowing down.
It's not. The world is moving towards a sustainable future, and it's happening faster than ever.
It's like a wave that's already crashing.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to stay informed.
About these trends and technologies that are shaping our energy future.
Because the choices we make now will have a huge impact on the world we leave behind.
So for our listeners, what does it all mean? What should they do with this knowledge?
I think the key is to realize that the transition isn't just happening out there.
Right.
It's something we can all be a part of.
So we can all contribute.
Yes, whether it's the energy we use in our homes, the businesses we support, the policies we advocate for.
So being mindful of our energy choices.
Exactly, taking ownership of our energy future.
Understanding the challenges and the opportunities.
And making choices that align with our values.
ACS really highlights that collective effort, that working together to create a more sustainable future.
That's what it's all about.
It's a reminder that we're not alone in this journey, and together we can make a difference.
Absolutely.
That's a really powerful message. The future of clean energy is something we're all creating together. All right, that wraps up part 1 of our deep dive into the Asia Clean Energy Summit of 2022.
Great discussion.
We've covered so much, the innovative technologies, the global collaborations.
And those real-world solutions.
It's been fascinating. But in part 2, we're going to switch gears and focus on the financial side of clean energy.
Okay.
We'll delve into the world of green financing, the challenges and opportunities that come with funding a sustainable future.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Asia Clean Energy Summit. Last time we were talking about all those amazing clean energy technologies.
Yeah, incredible potential.
It really is. But ACS wasn't just about celebrating the advancements, right?
Right. It was about recognizing the challenges.
Like what?
Well, financing is a big one.
Yeah, developing and scaling up these technologies, that's got to cost a lot of money.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of capital. You can't just have good ideas. You need resources to bring them to life.
So green financing, that was a major topic at ACS, I bet.
Definitely, it had to be. Governments, investors, businesses all need to figure out how to support these clean energy projects.
Attracting those investments, that seems like a key piece.
Yeah, making sure the money is there, that it's accessible.
Did they talk about how to do that?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that always comes up is risk.
Okay. Risk in what sense?
Well, clean energy is still kind of a new thing, relatively speaking.
Right. Less historical data. It's kind of uncharted territory in some ways.
Exactly. And investors get nervous. They see it as riskier than sticking with fossil fuels.
So how do you convince them?
It's about building confidence, and policy plays a huge role in that.
Okay, how so?
When governments set ambitious clean energy targets.
So they're serious about this transition.
Exactly, and then they back it up with stable policies and regulations.
So there's a framework. It's not just talk.
Right, it sends a signal that the sector is here to stay. It reduces that perceived risk.
It's like giving investors a safety net. They know their money's going somewhere stable.
Yeah, exactly. And then there are specific financial tools designed for clean energy.
Like what?
Well, green bonds are a great example.
Green bonds, so I could.
There are debt securities that are specifically for raising capital for projects with environmental benefits.
So you're investing in sustainability.
Exactly. They've become super popular, and we're seeing more and more governments and companies using them.
So it's a win-win.
It is. Investors get to support green initiatives, and projects get the funding they need.
What about things like crowdfunding? Is that playing a role too?
Yeah, crowdfunding's been interesting. It's a good way to fund those smaller projects.
The ones that might fly under the radar of big investors.
Exactly. Individuals can invest directly.
More of a grassroots approach.
Yeah, it can be really effective for community-based projects.
I could see how that would build excitement and engagement.
It does. It gives people a sense of ownership.
But you mentioned earlier that access to capital can be tough, especially for smaller projects.
It can be. A lot of clean energy startups, they're small to medium-sized enterprises, and they don't always fit the mold for traditional financing.
So they're kind of stuck.
Yeah, it's tough. They need funding to grow, but they can't get funding because they're not big enough yet.
The catch-22.
It is. So that's why it's important to create financial products that cater to their needs.
Solutions tailored for those smaller players.
Exactly. And we're starting to see more venture capital funds and impact investors stepping in to support them.
That's good news. So there's movement in the right direction.
There is. There's definitely a shift happening, but we still have a long way to go.
So it's about leveling the playing field.
Yeah, making sure everyone has a chance to contribute to this clean energy revolution.
We've talked a lot about the money side of things, but policy has to be a big part of this too, right?
Oh, absolutely. You can have all the technology and the funding in the world, but without the right policies,
It's not going to happen.
it won't. It's like trying to build a house without a blueprint. You need that framework, those guidelines.
What kind of policy discussions were happening at ACES?
Well, one thing that kept coming up was the need for ambitious renewable energy targets.
Okay, shooting for the stars.
Exactly. A lot of countries have already set targets, but there's a sense that we need to be even bolder.
Really push the limit.
Yeah, aim high, but targets alone aren't enough.
You need action, concrete policies.
Exactly. That's where things like feed-in tariffs come in.
Feed-in tariffs, what are those?
They're basically policies that guarantee renewable energy producers a fixed price for their electricity.
So they know what they're getting. It's stable.
Exactly. It gives them a predictable revenue stream, makes their projects more attractive to investors.
So it takes some of the risk out of the equation.
It does. It's a really good way to incentivize investment in renewable energy.
What other policy tools are out there?
Oh, there's a whole range. Things like tax credits, carbon pricing mechanisms, energy efficiency standards.
Okay, break those down for me.
Sure, tax credits, that's a way to reward people for making sustainable choices.
Like putting solar panels on your roof.
Exactly. Or buying an electric vehicle, the government basically gives you a financial incentive.
Makes those choices a little easier.
Exactly. It helps make clean energy more affordable.
What about carbon pricing? I hear that term a lot.
Yeah, carbon pricing is about making pollution more expensive.
Making polluters pay for the damage they cause.
Right, so you have things like carbon taxes or cap-and-trade systems.
And that encourages companies to clean up their act.
It does. It gives them a financial incentive to reduce emissions and invest in cleaner technologies.
What about energy efficiency standards? Where do those fit in?
Those are all about setting minimum requirements for energy performance.
Like for buildings and appliances.
Exactly. Raising the bar for efficiency helps us reduce energy consumption overall.
So we're not wasting energy, making the most of what we use.
Yeah, it's all about optimizing our energy use.
It sounds like there's a whole toolbox of policies.
There is, and they all work together to nudge us in the right direction.
Towards a cleaner energy future.
Exactly. It's like an orchestra. Different instruments playing their parts.
And it's a constantly evolving process as we learn and adapt.
It is. It's a work in progress, but there's definitely momentum building.
We've covered a lot in this part of our deep dive. Green financing, policy. It's clear that this clean energy transition is a complex undertaking.
It is. It's multifaceted.
But it's exciting to see all the pieces coming together.
It is, and it's not just about the technology and the money.
Right. There are people involved.
Exactly. The social and economic implications of this transition, those are really important to consider.
It's about building a better world, not just a new energy system.
That's what we'll be exploring in the final part of our deep dive.
So join us next time as we delve into the human side of the clean energy transition.
We'll see you there.
Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the Asia Clean Energy Summit.
Part 3.
You've talked tech, we've talked money. Now I really want to dig into the human side of this whole clean energy transition.
I think that's super important, and I'm sure it got a lot of attention at ACES.
It has to, right? This isn't just about swapping out technologies. It's about changing how societies and economies work.
It's like building a whole new city. You can have the best infrastructure in the world, but if you don't consider the people...
It won't be a very good city.
Exactly, and that's what the social implications are all about, making sure this transition benefits everyone.
Not just a select few.
Right. Creating jobs, empowering communities, making sure no one gets left behind.
And jobs, I mean, that's a big one. The clean energy sector is supposed to be a huge job creator, right?
It absolutely is. I mean, as we move away from fossil fuels and put more money into renewables, we're creating whole new industries.
Right. So what kind of jobs?
Think about it. You need people to make the solar panels, install wind turbines, build those electric vehicles.
And then you need people to operate and maintain everything, the smart grids, the energy storage systems.
It's not just about saving the planet.
It's about creating economic opportunities.
Exactly. A chance for people to build a better future.
But what about the people who are already working in those fossil fuel industries?
That's a really important point, and it's something that policymakers are definitely thinking about.
It would be a shame if those people were left behind.
Exactly. The transition has to be just, meaning it has to work for everyone.
So how do we do that?
Workforce development is key.
Okay, so retraining programs.
Exactly. Governments, schools, businesses, they all need to work together to help people transition into these new roles.
Give them the skills they need to succeed.
That's the idea, to make sure everyone has a chance to be a part of this new clean energy economy.
It's like building a bridge between the old and the new.
That's a great way to put it.
Beyond jobs, though, there's also the whole issue of community engagement.
Absolutely, especially when you're talking about those big clean energy projects.
Like wind farms or solar installations.
Those have a direct impact on the communities where they're built.
So how do you get those communities on board?
It starts with listening. You know, really understanding their concerns, answering their questions.
Making sure they have a voice in the process.
Exactly. If people feel like they're a part of the solution, they're more likely to support it.
And that can help speed up the transition.
Absolutely. It's about building trust, making sure the benefits of these projects are shared with the local community.
It's a partnership, right?
It is. It's about working together to create a future that works for everyone.
So we've talked jobs, we've talked community engagement. What of the broader economic picture?
Well, the shift to a clean energy economy can have huge ripple effects.
Okay, like what?
Well, for consumers, it could mean lower energy bills as renewables become more affordable.
That'd be great.
For businesses, it opens up new markets, new opportunities for innovation.
And for governments?
Greater energy independence, a more resilient economy.
Sounds pretty good. But there have to be some downsides, right?
Well, yeah, no transition is perfect. There will be challenges.
Like what?
Well, some regions that are really dependent on fossil fuels might struggle as we move away from those industries.
It's a big shift, so there will be some bumps along the way.
But the key is to manage those bumps, to provide support for those who are affected.
Make sure everyone has a chance to benefit from this new economy.
That's the goal.
So in the end, it's not just about building a new energy system. It's about building a better world for everyone.
I couldn't agree more.
And that's what ACS was all about, a collective effort to create a future powered by clean energy.
A future that works for everyone.
We've reached the end of our deep dive into the Asia Clean Energy Summit of 2022.
It's been quite a journey.
From those cutting-edge technologies to the financial side of things, and then finally, the human impact.
It's a complex issue with a lot of moving parts.
But what I'll take away from this is that collaboration is key.
Bringing everyone to the table?
Exactly. Working together to create a truly sustainable future. It's inspiring.
It is, and it's something we can all be a part of.
Absolutely. So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those clean energy dreams alive.
Well said.
That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening.